Welcome to the 360 Sports Network Road to the Final Four podcast series, where we break down all of the conference tournaments to find out who gets the automatic bid, who the at-large teams are, and who teams are going to be left dancing by themselves. Because before we can fill the field of 68, we first have to get through the conference championships. I'm James Dotson. Tonight we want to look at the Big 12 conference, and really Kansas is atop the conference with not much behind them. Teams 2 through 6, 2 through 7 are all pretty even. It looks like it might be a 5, maybe 6 bid league for the Big 12, but really any of those top 6 teams have a chance to win it. And I want to start with a team that really you forget about more often than not, and that's the Iowa State Cyclones. How many teams out there have 5 guys who average double figures? And the 6th guy on the team averages 9.3 points per game. That's what the Cyclones have. Their high-scoring offense causes troubles for many teams, especially the top ones in the nation. They took Kansas to overtime twice. And honestly, they were hosed in the second game. There was a blatant no call that ended up leading to a couple free throws for Kansas, and the game was sent to overtime. Will Clyburn leads the way, 15 points per game. It's impressive. But I like Melvin Ejim. Melvin Ejim averages 10 points, 9 rebounds each game. And I also like a couple of Big Ten transfers. Corey Lucius came from Michigan State, Chris Babb from Penn State. Especially Babb. He's playing the best he has all year, honestly. And when he hits his outside shot, the team as a whole is going to be a lot better. The team as a whole shoots 40%, so when Babb hits his, especially as the 6th guy in the roster, it just really looks good for the Cyclones. Now, they're the 5 seed. They'll have to face number 4 Oklahoma in the first round. And the Sooners, they really do nothing fancy. And that's why they have been so successful this season. They don't have a go-to player. They don't have, the stellar shutdown defense or a gimmicky, 2-3 defense type thing. All they do, they're consistent. They go 9 deep. They make sure everybody is fresh. Romero Osby leads the team, 15.7 points per game. He also brings down 7 boards per game. If they go inside to him, they normally win. Osby just isn't quite good enough, though, to contend with big guys like Jeff Withey of Kansas. And I think that's why I need to take the Cyclones with Melvin Ejim to beat the Sooners in that opening game. But I think both teams are tournament bound, and whoever wins that game, well, either team can win that game. We'll just put it that way. Now, here's a tough team to wrap your head around. The number 3 seed, Oklahoma State, is 11-2 since January 26th. Their only losses came at Iowa State and at home to Kansas in double overtime. They ended the year with a big win over the 9th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats. Yet, they have a very unenthusiastic results early in the season, including a very bad loss to Virginia Tech. The reason they can be a tough team to beat is that they have 3 very talented players at the top of the scoring charts. They all pretty much score at will. Markel Brown, Marcus Smart, LeBron Nash. They all score 14 points per game. Markel Brown actually is at the 15 mark. Usually, your star will get in foul trouble, and that can be an issue. But when you have 3 all legitimate number 1s, it's not as bad. Now, as for the number 2 seed, Kansas State, as we just mentioned, they're 25-6 this season. They're actually ranked 11th in the country right now. They win games. That's all they know how to do, and that's what matters. We all know about Rodney McGruder, 15 points, 5 boards per game. And we all know about Angel Rodriguez, 11.5 points, 5.5 assists per game. Great worker of the basketball to his teammates. They have talent, no doubt about it. However, when they play against top 25 teams, they're just 2-5. And they have some pretty bad losses to teams like Michigan, Gonzaga, and Kansas. They're solid, like always, but in the big moments, whether it be regular season, conference tournament, or NCAA tournament, they seem to choke. And now that just leaves us with that number 1 seed, Kansas Jayhawks. Don't forget, I don't care how good they're playing, I don't care that they might be a number 1 team, don't forget that this is the team Coach Self said was the worst one to play at Kansas since they were playing games against Topeka YMCA. Ben McLemore is amazing. He averages 17 points per game. Jeff Withey has 13.5 and 8.5 rebounds per game. It's very impressive, yes. But this is still the team that lost 3 games in a row and looked absolutely ugly in them. And probably could have lost to the Topeka YMCA. They bounced back after that 3-game skid with 7 wins in a row. But then in the season finale, they got absolutely trashed, 81-58 by Baylor, who currently is not a tournament team in my eyes. So, will a real Kansas Jayhawks please stand up? They are 4-1 against ranked opponents, but they have bad losses to bad teams. They play the level of their team. They're very schizophrenic. They're You know, it's not good, especially that they could have a second-round matchup against a mid-major, and they can easily just go and take them lightly. And I have trouble being loyal to the Jayhawks, picking them in a tournament when a team plays like that. So as for what happens in this tournament, I think Iowa State gets hot. I think they win a couple games. I think the trio at Oklahoma State, I think they're just too much for the K-State defense to handle. And that leaves a shootout championship game between the Cowboys and the Cyclones. I will give the edge to the trio, and I will say Oklahoma State receives the automatic bid. I think all 5 of those teams, and maybe 6 too, if Baylor wins a game or 2, they might be a tournament contender. It's all about the matchups. I think all 6 teams have chances to do some things in the NCAA tournament. But those first-round matchups could be tough. A team like Iowa State might be a team to watch out for. A team like Kansas in the second round for sure is a team to think twice about. Kansas is known to get beat early. K-State is known to falter after or around the Sweet 16. But this year, you know better than anything is possible. Well, that's it for breaking down the Big 12 Conference Championship. Now follow us on Twitter at 3S Network and head to 360sportsnetwork.com as we break down all those tournaments, give you all the updates leading up to Selection Sunday, and help make your bracket be the very best it can. So of course you can win that office pool. Make sure you thank us along the way. I'm James Dotson for 3SN. Have a pleasant evening, everyone.